Bulls Nation, I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time, but I just never got around to doing it. Well, today that story has changed. Today's video is going to be discussing the free agency period that the Chicago Bulls could potentially go into next season and the players that I believe they should be targeting. Now, of course, this is just my opinion. I do have to say that a lot of these could be very unlikely for a lot of people. With that being said, I do encourage that you guys keep an open mind, but also to realize that what I say in this video could potentially not come true, and I shouldn't get attacked for that, because last time I made a video like this, a lot of people attacked me for it. Without further ado, let's talk about the free agency period, and let's talk about the Chicago Bulls and their pursuit of some good NBA players. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today we got a Chicago Bulls free agency video. Now, in this video, we are going to go through some of the free agents that I believe the Chicago Bulls should try to go for. And granted, some of these people will be very unrealistic, pretty much slim to none of some of them happening. With that being said, it's up to the Chicago Bulls. It's their due diligence to try and get some top level talent into the Chicago Bulls to take us to a level beyond what we are now. And if we make the playoffs this season, a lot of those free agents, some of those free agents might truly consider the Chicago Bulls as a future destination for them. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below. Overall, what do you guys think the Chicago Bulls should be looking at in free agency? At the end of the day, the big free agents have all technically re-signed with their teams. So there's not much in terms of max level style players that the Chicago Bulls can go after. But there are still very good NBA players, still second B level type NBA players that could come into this team and make a massive difference to the way that we play, to the style that we play, and also to the winning percentage that we may have towards the end of the season. This is what the Chicago Bulls, I believe, should at least be trying to attempt to acquire. Now, again, free agency is a very, I guess you could say, unpredictable turn of events. There are going to be things that happen to a team that no one expects to happen. I never expected Brooklyn to get Kevin Durant. I never expected Brooklyn to get James Harden. Granted, that wasn't free agency. I never expected Kevin Durant to go to the Warriors. A lot of Kevin Durant here. But again, a lot of those situations, I just simply could not get my head around how free agency can work sometimes. With that being said, there are a few players that I think the Chicago Bulls desperately need, and there are some players that I believe the Chicago Bulls should pursue. So the first one that I want to talk about, and I'm going to get this one out of the way extremely quickly because I know a lot of people will look at this and say, move on to the next one, that's not happening. But Kawhi Leonard is a player that is still a top level max player free agent that is available. Now again, the Bulls should at least give an attempt to try and acquire Kawhi Leonard. But that is a slim to nothing % of happening. So that's one of those ones where you move on, but it's always worth a try. You always have to give your best to try and get someone, granted if they don't want to come to you. So Kawhi Leonard is definitely a player that I think the Bulls should at least try to get. But the chances of that happening is slim to none. And, of course, he's a world-class player. We all know this. My guess is that he's going to stay with the Los Angeles Clippers. It was very clear he wanted to be in LA when he was at the Raptors. I don't see why he would want to leave LA now, unless, obviously, there's some big circumstance where he simply doesn't want to go to LA anymore. And that's what every team's banking on, really. But most likely, the Clippers is the last destination Kawhi Leonard will be at for quite some time. Now it's time to talk about the needs of the Chicago Bulls. So when you look at this team, in its entirety, what do the Chicago Bulls really need? There are two things in my mind that come into fruition. We need a true center and a point guard. And I mean a playmaking point guard. Those are the two things that really stand out. And in terms of what the team itself needs, we need some defense and we need someone that can limit turnovers and make plays. Therefore, a true center and a true point guard. This could potentially be the next step for the Chicago Bulls. So, let's look at those positions and let's see what is potentially available for the Chicago Bulls. First things first, let's get the unlikely one out of the way first. Chris Paul, Phoenix Suns player. Phoenix Suns has done very, very well this season. Chris Paul has been a big part of that. They've had to change the way that they play. This is going to be the same thing if Chris Paul decides to decline his player option, which he does have. He does have a player option that he could spend another year with the Suns. So, again, Chris Paul is kind of a hype dream for many people because of the relationship he has with some of our Bulls players. But at the end of the day, Chris Paul would change the way that we play, but maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need a different style of play. Of course, Chris Paul has good relationships with our players. Chris Paul has a good relationship with Billy Donovan. And at the end of the day, that's the hype dream for a lot of people to get Chris Paul into this team. Once again, this is extremely unlikely. And the reason why this is extremely unlikely is that player option for Chris Paul. He's most likely going to accept that. At the end of the day, that's big money for a player of his age. I don't think he's going to refuse that. So again, it's something that we could try and persist on. It is something that I don't think will happen. Let's move into a center position that I believe could potentially indeed happen for the Chicago Bulls. Now, at the end of the day, this is definitely someone we're going to have to potentially overpay for. But what you get in return for this player might be exactly what we need. He might not be the flashiest player. Hell, for many people, he's a meme. But I do think that we might take a chance on him to see where the Chicago Bulls can go in the future. I'm talking about Andre Drummond. Now, again, max level players in the NBA, most likely it's Kawhi Leonard and that's it. There's no other max level type player I believe is available in free agency this season. But Andre Drummond will be an unrestricted free agent after taking his player option for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland have been looking to trade Andre Drummond. They want draft compensation for Andre Drummond. Now, of course, being a Chicago Bulls fan, I don't want to trade draft compensation for Andre Drummond because I still believe we could potentially get a good pick this year. So regardless of that, I don't think that's the right way to go. What we can do is pay him in the summer. Pay him in free agency. Pay him not the amount that he wants, because I'm sure he wants a lot more than the Bulls are willing to offer, but pay him an amount to the point where he considers the Chicago Bulls. At the end of the day, we are one true center. We are one defensive presence away from being a really good team. And defensively, the Chicago Bulls are one of the worst in the NBA. So again, what he brings, rebounding. He does bring good offensive rebounding as well, something that we could potentially use. He does bring a defensive presence. This season has been his best defensive season. There are many, many things that could allow Andre Drummond to excel with the Chicago Bulls. So maybe it is time to get a chance on him. Maybe there is a time to take a chance on Andre Drummond and allow him to become a good player for this team. Now again, Andre Drummond has become a meme as of late with the way that his offensive possession sometimes goes. I've seen him miss a three-point shot that hit the side of the ball and stuff like that, you know? Like, he's become a meme with a lot of the things that he does. But what he does bring is very, very, very good defensive presence and elite rebounding. And maybe that is something that we need. With continual press, we will have a rim protector to an extent. Wendell Carter will still be on this team most likely. We could definitely be set in that center position for a long time to come. Something to look into at least for the Chicago Bulls. We are trying to get better. Maybe these are the type of players that we do need to pursue. Another center that I do want to target is Jarrett Allen. Now again, this is someone that is going to be really unrealistic at this point. I really thought we had a chance of getting him if he remained on the Brooklyn Nets, but going to the Cavs, getting traded to the Cavs, something tells me the Cavs will just not let him go. They're going to pay him a decent amount. They're buying out Kevin Love at the end of the day, it looks like. So I think they're very set on Jarrett Allen being their center of the future. So that is a missed opportunity. But again, if we do overpay for Jarrett Allen, maybe the Cavs might just say, just take him. We're still rebuilding or something like that. I'm not sure. But that's just the way that I see it. I think Jarrett Allen is definitely their go-to for the future. Obviously, when you're looking at free agency, you need to look at yourself as well. There are a few players on the Chicago Bulls that will potentially go in free agency or have a chance to go in free agency. There are a few players that I would like to discuss in that retrospect. First things first, I think this definitely, depending on the season that he has, needs to be a given. If Larry Markkinen stays healthy, if Larry Markkinen plays well this season, I definitely think you take him on board as a restricted free agent. You pay him a decent amount and he does come back to the Chicago Bulls. I think that is definitely a situation where the Bulls might consider doing that. At the end of the day, we seem to be very talented with our front court. That seems to be what this management is good for. The Denver Nuggets is a prime example. Arturias has drafted very, very good big men and has made very, very good big men out of themselves. Larry Markkinen is definitely a player that has a load of talent but can't really get it together. This season, he's only missed 2 weeks of NBA basketball, and a lot of that was due to quarantine. So he's been fairly decently healthy this year. He's only had one left knee contusion, left calf contusion, and it was very minor. So the fact of the matter is Larry Markkinen could potentially have I don't want to jinx it here, could potentially have a very good season with very few injuries. That is something that we need to consistently see. Hopefully I didn't just jinx that, but again, you never know. And if he does have everything I've just said, if he does have a healthy season, if he does perform well, we definitely need to bring him back on board. He had a rough season last season. There's nothing better than picking it up when it matters the most. And this season, it matters the most. So let's see what Larry Markkinen can do for the rest of the season. And I definitely think that he could be a player that we keep on board. Also, I believe Garrett Temple is a 1-year signing. I want to see that change. I know Garrett Temple's 34 years old. He's definitely not part of the Bulls' future. He's not going to be someone that's going to be here in 5 years' time, still performing at this level. But so far, he's looked like a completely different player that I've ever seen him. He looked different on the Brooklyn Nets, the Wizards. I've seen him on a bunch of teams. But so far, maybe this is just my own bias kicking in here, but he's performed very well for the Chicago Bulls, and he's looked like a much better player on the Bulls than these other teams. So Garrett Temple is someone that I would like to see us bring back, but at the end of the day, he is a player that likes to switch teams. He is a player that likes to switch things up every now and then. So he could potentially be coming here for a 1-year deal with Chicago, then often just go to another team and do the same thing over there. So I would like to see Garrett Temple return one more season for the Chicago Bulls to bring that veteran leadership, to bring our young core, which will be a year older by the time this happens, and help them develop into the players that they can be. I think Garrett Temple becomes very important in that retrospect. But again, I can understand that Garrett Temple might not be here next season, and that's something I have to live with. Now let's go back to abroad outside of this team, and I do want to target another point guard. A point guard that I believe will fit perfectly for this team. A point guard that's been struggling this season. A point guard that I think the Chicago Bulls can truly get the best out of with the coaching that we have. We seem to be trying to get the best out of these players. I think this player would be a very welcome addition to the Chicago Bulls. And I know what you guys are thinking when I say this. He can't shoot. He has a lot of history behind him. He doesn't have the right people around him. His father's an issue. But if you don't know who I'm talking about now, I'm sure you do after that one. I'm talking about Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is going to be a restricted free agent in this period for free agency. The Pelicans are looking to trade Lonzo Ball. His trade value is going to be at an all-time low at this point in the season because they're only going to get half a season, if that, of Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is a player that I believe we can get the best out of. Again, he's a decent spot-up shooter, but he's not been the best this season. He's a person that can definitely run the tempo. The Chicago Bulls have one of the fastest tempos in the NBA. Lonzo Ball will suit that to the T. Lonzo Ball, with shooters around him, becomes a better Lonzo Ball. It's almost very similar to the Ben Simmons situation. If you guys wanted Ben Simmons, if there was ever a chance to get Ben Simmons, you need this young core of Larry Markkinen, Zach LaVine, even the likes of our bench with Garrett Temple, shooters around, Kobe White, shooters around this team to get the best out of Lonzo Ball, to get the best out of Ben Simmons. This is going to be a very good situation, because think about it. What do the Pelicans have in terms of shooting? They have JJ Redick. Eric Bledsoe's not a good shooter. Zion Williamson is going to be a learning player, isn't he? He's going to be a player that can shoot the three. In his first game, he shot like 4 threes in a row and he made them all. So I'm not saying he can't shoot the three. Steven Adams is not a good shooter. Like, they don't have that much shooting. So I think Lonzo Ball would suit a lot better in a different environment. An environment where the pace is faster. An environment where the shooting is at a higher standard. And we are one of the better offensive teams in the NBA. I think Lonzo Ball would thrive in this situation. He might be able to score more, considering we have a lot of players that will spread the floor and he can cut to the basket, which is his game. while also passing to those open shooters, passing in a fast tempo game, running the floor, getting fast break opportunities. I think Lonzo Ball would actually suit this team very, very well. But again, he's not the type of guy that we would look to as the star point guard of the future. He just isn't that guy. But he is definitely a guy that will make us better now. And plus, he's a very decent defender as well, something we have been missing in that guard position. Zach LaVine's been a very good on-ball defender. If we have two good on-ball defenders in the guard positions, we could stop a lot of teams while also having Kobe White, while also having scoring in Zach LaVine and passing Lonzo Ball. In my opinion, whether Kobe White is on the bench or he starts, whatever the case may be, bring Lonzo Ball, bring LaMelo Ball. Remember, we were talking about LaMelo Ball in the draft, where I said we should bring LaMelo Ball because he will not impact Kobe White. He will not impact Zach LaVine. Lonzo Ball is very similar to that. Of course, LaMelo's a better player, but Lonzo will be a good player for us that will not jeopardize this team, will not make this team any worse, will not make Kobe White any worse, and will probably make a lot of the players on this team better. I think Lonzo Ball is a perfect addition to this team. Definitely one that I think the Bulls should be interested in and should go all out to get in the free agency period. There is one player that I do think, for nostalgia's sake, I should mention. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, a player that has been known to be one of the better Chicago Bulls players in NBA history, the youngest MVP, all of this. Now, Derrick Rose is a very interesting one, but for the most part, I don't think Derrick Rose is the right fit for this team. I love Derrick Rose. I would 100% take Derrick Rose to the Chicago Bulls any day of the week. If Derrick Rose wanted to retire here, I would welcome him back with open arms, and he can have whatever position he wants on this team in terms of if he wants to be a bench scorer, if he wants to be a player that maybe doesn't get many minutes, whatever the step is for Derrick Rose next year and the year after that, whatever it is, I would take Derrick Rose at the Chicago Bulls. I think he does make us slightly better, but I don't think he's the right fit in terms of we need a playmaker and we need a defender. I don't think Derrick Rose fits that mold. I think Derrick Rose can be a good playmaker, but again, so can Kobe White, so can Zach LaVine. We need a playmaker that's good now. I think Lonzo Ball fits us better than Derrick Rose. Once again, I would take Derrick Rose onto this team just for nostalgia's sake. I love Derrick Rose and I would definitely take him on this team. That's where I'm going to end the video. Thank you guys for watching this video. It's going to be a long one. I'm not going to upload it at my usual time because normally when I upload, it seems like it's like 3 a.m. in Chicago when I upload these videos. So I'm going to try my best to try and get the timing and the scheduling of these videos to a manner where you're all awake to watch it. Simple as that. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful day, all you Chicago Bulls fans. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little bit of fun, and hopefully we could get down to business and take on the Portland Trail Blazers and get a victory over there. Take care and peace.